If your marriage feels more like roommates than lovers, or if stress has built a wall between you, this podcast is for you.
We're Andrew and Lara, marriage coaches and happily married couple of nearly 20 years.
We're best friends, partners in adventure, and living proof that marriage can be both joyful and strong.
Every week we'll share real stories, practical tools, and one simple shift you can make to go from disconnection to intimacy, and from survival to thriving together.
Welcome to episode 3. This one's on why physical touch is the glue in lasting love. And I wanted to ask you, did you know that your body releases a bonding hormone every time that you hug your spouse? Oxytocin.
That toast.
I think you did know that.
Oxytocin.
It's a connection chemical. I think, and we don't realize like that we're wired for that, right? That's what we're wired for. So,
or it helps wire us.
Yeah.
Right? Or it has a big effect on us, and it's a powerful thing.
That's so true.
Powerful thing, oxytocin.
When has a moment of connection like that? Obviously, we've got sexual connection, and then we've got just, you know, they're closely linked, of course, in a marriage. But when has a moment of like hand holding or a hug made a huge difference in the middle of stress for you?
I think for me, it just totally derails stress and all that sort of thing, because I feel kind of connected to you with it. I can feel that it's not like this passionate building sort of feeling that sex is, obviously, but it's this effect in my body that I can't explain it. I think the hug is a powerful thing, and it's really close, you know.
Yeah, it's always tricky though, because for me it's like I can definitely have a hug and it not like turn into sex brain thing. But I remember this week, like in the middle of the night, I reached out. I often wake up after a certain chunk of time of sleep, and I reached out and I held Andrew's hand, and he obviously wasn't in a deep enough sleep to not acknowledge he held my hand back. But in the morning you were like, I thought that might lead to sex or something.
Yeah. I mean, it was a strong effect on me then.
It was so funny. So I was like, I think it was 3 a.m. But so we recognize that but either way, this hormone is really powerful, and it's a connection chemical. I can hear the kids yelling. It's real life right there.
Yeah, it's happening.
He's going across the road to his friend's house, which I love. I love that we've got neighbours that he can do that. All right. So research shows that physical touch actually lowers stress hormones, increases bonding, and predicts marital satisfaction. So common pit bulls. I was going to say pit bulls.
Pit bulls?
Probably
little
the same
different.
thing.
Little different.
Okay. Touch happens only in conflict or sex, or non-sexual affection disappears in busy seasons. I think I can definitely relate to that we can, when we're busy, like forget to give each other a hug or a kiss or those sorts of things. And we are busy right now.
And it statistically seems very correct that the busier you are, there just isn't sex in the calendar, and that isn't there so much. But my brain goes to, okay, well, how do we fix it? You know, and when you're busy, stressed, maybe this sense of connection all the day long isn't there as much. So often you can't just turn it on and jump in the bed together and fix it all and do a whole lot of sex to make it better. You know, sex does help, definitely. But I'm just saying that it doesn't just flow from one to the other. The kind of statistically, I think you can see how it affects the amount of sex you have, whatever else. But the way to get there, to improve that and to have more, regular sex and that sort of thing, can be a lot more quick, day to day. And momentary.
And I think that's really important. I think, again, we don't speak in that this fits everybody, but it will fit a majority, is that it's, men don't need maybe as much of the little touches through the day. That's the belief, but it's not necessarily true, because a lot of men would say, actually, I do. But the belief out there is that men you know, it doesn't matter where things are at. They can kind of go into object mode and have sex without all of that other, where women tend to want a lot more of the intimacy, emotionally, mentally. Yeah. And then through the day, lots of little touches before, you know, it leads to sex. And this, the theme here is, you know, physical touch in terms of just the affections through the day. But it would be not a complete conversation to leave sex out of it, because these things are part of intimacy and part of marriage, and it doesn't always have to lead to sex, but there is a psychology that for the majority of women and men fits that, but recognizing too, you know, that not everybody fits those boxes. I've met a lot of couples who will say it's more the other way around, but again, we're speaking in majorities and all that sort of thing. Take it in the way that serves you, but it's important either way to unpack and know each other and know what the other person needs, and you've got a lifetime to get to know each other. And how that person responds. I believe sex starts in the kitchen, like not literally, although that's a very sexy thought. Of course, you take that how you want, but like I'm talking about, you know, when I'm doing the dishes and Andrew comes up and not only maybe helps me put the dishes away, but maybe gives me a little kiss or a hug there. That is a glue in the relationship and a reminder that you're not just someone I'm doing parallel life with. You're somebody who I see as my lover, not just my roommate. And I think that's a big theme on this podcast is how do you go from roommates to lovers and best friends? Those things.
And I think there's a range of what people like and appreciate. I love physical touch. It definitely does something to calm me and you know, all the things, but I really respond to it. And I know some people, I definitely know people in different countries, you know, we know a lot of people who they would just say, like it really grates on them, and there's reasons why.
There's reasons,
There is no rule. You don't have to be a certain way with it. I think it's just knowing your lover, you know, knowing your partner and knowing them well. And so if you know that just isn't such a strong thing for them, or they would rather you don't put the hand on their shoulder while they're doing things, then you know them and you start to lean into that. But vice versa, if you do in the marriage, then it's a good secret for the partner to say who doesn't like that, to say he really loves it when I do this, and we can be intentional about that side of our lives.
And I think the lesson here and the pitfall that I'm warning you about is that sex shouldn't only happen you know, as a result of, for example, conflict, even though that can be a pattern for people, and that touch is only happening in sex. That's what I'm trying to say, is like it shouldn't only happen in sex. That shouldn't be the only time you touch. And I think it's not something that comes naturally to everybody. We're married 20 years, so it's not like every second. I remember when we first got married, our hands were on each other all the time. Like we wanted to be like holding hands when we were out in public all the time. Those things, even though we're still highly passionate, might not be as natural to us at this point. But having said that, what is important is that you wire into your day the physical touch, so it's not just in the bedroom, and it becomes a part of the integration of your day, because non-sexual affection disappearing in a busy season is really common. And really, really easy. And so it's something that we're still working on now. And because we are still in marriage, and as long as you're in marriage, you are working on your marriage. So
you're building something. I think that's the thing. We step to look at it more than just, are we solving something or getting better or getting ourselves back from the brink. But it's more that we're together and things are good. So let's build, you know. What's the ceiling of this thing that we're building? You know, we're building something wonderful, that it's more so that something can be living and it's growing and it's maturing, and that, you know, our kids feed off that, and it builds this wonderful thing within life. It's a metaphor of maybe a tree that's growing well, you know, in the community, whatever else.
I actually have an indoor garden. This is such a great metaphor for this, that it was flourishing, and I thought that I could get away with not adding the nutrients to the water because I didn't buy them.
Interesting parallel.
I know. And my garden is mid-death. It's like 3/4 dead right now.
It's like a desert.
It looks like a little shriveled up, pruny desert where it was this flourishing thing. And I've said repeatedly to Andrew this week, I can't believe it died. It was 1 teaspoon of nutrients. And you're like, babe, what did you tell me? Nutrients are everything. Right?
It's everything.
It's
right?
everything. So here's the metaphor.
What's it gonna eat?
That little physical touch is not a little thing. It is a nutrient and a part of making your marriage last. So wire in that beautiful little hug.
Lots of these things that we're covering, like we're talking about touch now, but all these things of us checking in the 3-minute shift is like they're nutrients, aren't they? We can add nutrients to...
Yeah. In the coaching world, metaphor is like a big thing. I have the gold standard qualification, which is the International Coaching Federation. So I speak from that place, and metaphor was a whole unit that we studied because it helps you understand, like, it may be a teaspoon in my garden that I thought I could get away with once a week not putting in. Same with your marriage. It might seem like a small thing, what we're talking about, physical touch, but you've got to wire it in because your garden needs to flourish and it needs the certain nutrients in order to do so. So I'm going to give you some ideas and you can comment on these, whether we're doing them or not as well. Daily non-sexual touch, like a hug and a kiss. I feel like we need to do more kissing, and you'd probably love that.
More kissing.
Way more kissing.
Yeah, just like, in many ways. Anyway.
I love it. Ritual hello and goodbye. I feel like we need to this week maybe add some more hello and goodbye hugs in.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. Playful touch, dancing in the kitchen, that's something I do a lot, I think.
Yes.
Having a little groove together, we do that a lot anyway.
But it's good. Put some music on.
Yeah. Dance the stress away. Have a little groove together. Kids love it.
We've got to say this thing. Lives are busy. There's a lot to do. My psychology is wrapped into this, right? My past and all those things. I want to achieve well and prove that I've done all the things and I'm good husband. I'm a good,
And he is.
but like I'll just get stuck on all the things to do. Like I could feel a little bad after coming in after an afternoon doing a lot of jobs around our house, and I could still feel there's more things to do. And so I could feel a bit overloaded with that. I
think we both have a sense of high achieving, and those listening, you get different personalities. You get people that you need to put, pardon another metaphor, but it's a good one, like literally light a match under to set off a dynamite to get them to do anything in their life. You might be married to someone like that. That can be hard. But then the opposite hard is probably more where we sit, is that we're both very achievement driven, and we really both have a lot of natural drive to achieve a lot in the day. And that personality can easily go, well, the bottom of the list might end up being a hug. The bottom of the list might end up being a kiss. It would have taken 10 seconds. But you have to wire it in, right? It's so important to do it. So the takeaway in this episode is that touch is not optional. It's the glue that holds everything else together. It reminds you that you're not just roommates, that you're lovers, and that this marriage that you have, this relationship, is sacred, and it's something that you share between you that is not being shared and should not be shared. It would be a red flag for another episode if that intimacy was being shared with anyone else. It's the only thing that's just between you two. There's a lot of things, but when I'm talking like the physical expression, that is just you two. The kissing, the hugging, the sex, that intimacy, that is your marriage. That is, no one else gets those things, and they shouldn't. And that's a conversation for another episode if they are, because that's a huge red flag.
I guess I'm taking myself back to when we dated. So when we first dated, there was a time when we would explore that holding hands just felt so much closer because it was a physical act, and my hand, skin receptors felt hers, and there was this, soul and heart sort of connection type thing. So it sort of physically makes a concrete thing something that you're feeling, that you want to be together and close.
Yeah, that's true.
And there was a layer of like, oh, we're going to walk with hips together, or we're going to have full front on and hug and feel each other's bodies. So I'm just saying there was stages where it was you allowed me to, I allowed you to, and we journeyed through those stages together. And each step, I wouldn't just with anyone go for a full frontal hug.
No.
Feeling our bodies, because that's pretty intimate. So for a friend or whatever else, that's odd, right? So I'm just, we understand that. But I think when we've got so much to do, we're married and we've had many, many years together.
Yeah.
And we've had sex. We have like wonderful intimacy.
Yeah.
But the day to day, we don't kind of appreciate those little physical intimacies of hand holding or whatever else. We lose something.
Yeah. And just as an aside, I mean, this is, I'm thinking of people from all walks of life. As a disclaimer, obviously all touch, even within marriage, has to be consensual. So if you've got somebody who's like, it's my right to touch you, blah, blah, blah. I don't know that it's a right. I think it's a privilege in marriage, and it's something that that you have permission to hug and kiss and hold me. And I feel like I'm saying something that's obvious, but for some people this might not be obvious. So it's just a little aside that everything that you do, it's not your right. It is your privilege, and it is your honor to get to have that intimacy with someone else. So nurture it as a nutrient in your marriage so that your garden flourishes.
Yeah.
And do not for a second think, I have a right to those things. A lot of people take that attitude, and I think it's dangerous. I think it's a privilege and an honor to get to walk in intimacy with somebody. So treat it with the beauty that it is.
Yeah, the honor that it is.
The honor that it is.
That she's like allowed me to. She's made room. I've made room for her in my heart for that. So there's a permission type sort of
so
thing.
if someone is pushing you away in a marriage and saying no, then you respect that no. I think that's really important. So the takeaway with that in mind is that touch is not optional. It's the glue that holds everything together. And of course, with consent. The cat's in here, so my husband's trying to kick her away. I don't care. Let her join the podcast. We have this gorgeous home studio, and you can see the trees. If you're listening on audio, check out the YouTube Andrew and Lara channel, because we have these gorgeous trees behind us that are kind of our backyard. Don't forget, guys, we have a free resource. If you're new here and you don't know this and haven't got it yet, go to andrewandlara.com. It is a resource to help you go from disconnection to connection in 3 minutes. We call it the 3-minute marriage shift. Once you get inside of that, you'll see it's called the BMH shift, the body, mind, heart shift. It's a science-backed way to just quickly move from disconnection to connection. Some people don't have time to go out. Some people are not in a place where they feel like they can afford to get the help they need. So start with that. Come back here, check in with us. You can do a one-on-one coaching with me, or two-on-one if you're a couple. And want to come together.
Really great toolkits, really great things that you can just implement straight away, and things you wouldn't have realized. And until you start sharing, I think, or start to let yourself go through the journey to improve, the power, the transformation in your life can actually happen. And it's way more possible than you think when things maybe aren't as great as you want them to be with your relationship. Yeah,
and we recognise that's real for a lot of you. So keep coming back. We'll be here every week, and we'll see you next week. Bye, friends.
Bye, friends. Thanks for joining us on Marriage, Intimacy and Healing. Remember, connection isn't about perfection, it's about showing up.
If you want a quick way to feel closer tonight, grab our free resource, the 3-Minute Marriage Reset, at andrewandlara.com. We'll see you next week, and until then, keep choosing each other every single day.